Magic 95.9.
Here we go. Now we're live.
Welcome to the radio, Magic 95.9. Glad to have you here.
Ash is gone. The whole world
is gone. Everything should be fine. It says we're live.
We're live now.
I don't know where the peoples are.
They'll be coming soon.
They always come. There's Stephanie Conti. It was not live.
That was yesterday's. What are we doing with our lives?
I don't know. We got to go back to StreamYard and find ourselves. We're there.
Oh, here we go.
All right. Is that where you want to watch it? You can watch it there if you want. It's just
I was just trying to let you see the people. Oh, here we go. Now we're coming.
Okay, sure we have an audience before we start talking. Welcome, folks. There you go. The Wade and Carter Weather alongside Commander Cody. It's me, Brent. Wade and Carter Weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. For everything you need, there's Deerland Feed. They do a fantastic job. Whether you need hay or hay rings, all your pesticides, feed. I get my chicken feed there. My chicken love it. I actually notice that they eat.
I love your chickens too.
Differently, yes. Fantastic birds.
Little grill.
I like it that way too. Yep. These birds might be a little tough.
Okay.
The weather brought to you by Deerland Feed. 50 degrees and mostly clear in Victoria, Texas. Heading to a high today of only 72. It's the dead of winter. The high temp for the rest of the week is supposed to be tomorrow at 85. We are expecting somewhat of a Thanksgiving front. Lots of news to share with you today. Very interesting. Not only do I feel like I've got a handle on the absolute top stories of the day, honestly, I've been got up early this morning.
For day.
I really know since about 4:30.
Wow.
I honestly feel like these are the top stories of the day. These are the things you're going to be hearing about all day. And we know what they mean. That's what gets me.
You came in this morning and you were saying these things we were going to talk about, and then we got some news reports in, and it was the same thing.
Absolutely.
It's like they're following your phone search or something.
Absolutely have done so. Like you can go to here, and, well, that's 1440. Let's go to... where's the one that I was on earlier? Just find me a new Google. Find me a new Google.
I know what we're doing.
No. It's just there's lots of windows. There's lots to talk about. I can tell you right here. So right off the bat, President Trump has decided to announce his tariff plan for the beginning of his presidency. Remember, he can change this at any time. The numbers are staggering. For both Canada and Mexico, he's proposing a 25% tariff on all goods imported into this country.
Guacamole is going to be like $13 now.
That is a key point. We'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, sorry. I'm jumping
on China, 10% right off the bat. Now, we've already seen, I saw in my research, I found that the numbers say that for every 1% the U.S. increases its tariffs on China, results in a 1.5% decline in Chinese exports to the U.S. So if that bears fruit and Trump puts a 10-point tariff on Chinese goods, their exports to the U.S. drop by 15%.
Right.
What makes that important, and it's also worth noting, in case you didn't know this, is China has a 100% tariff on everything the U.S. sends to China.
That's right.
So that's how the Chinese protect their markets, is everything we send them, they tariff at 100%. Now, in your mind, you say, well, that's funny because the Chinese people are paying $9,000 for a television from the U.S. or whatever comes from the U.S. Build-A-Bear. That's not actually the case, and here's why. You look at what's going on in Mexico. Trump puts a 25% tariff on Mexican imports. He is sending a message. This is what the news means. The news is the tariff. Its implications are as follows. Trump is going to say, you want to sell avocados or you want to sell illegals? Do you want, because the American people are not going to buy avocados with a 25% tariff on them. And Mexico is going to watch them rot in the fields the tariff could go up. The desired effect is the ruination of their produce market.
How do you think that would affect their people?
Right. So the hardworking citizens of Mexico, great question, Commander, they suffer. They suffer because Americans say, keep your lettuce. I'd rather pay $2 a head for California lettuce than $1 a head that now becomes $1.25. That by the time it gets to the store, it's $2.50. I ain't buying it.
Do you think the California lettuce leans a little to the left?
I have no doubt. It all grows towards the west coast, towards the setting sun, towards the west, towards the left. The thing will be that Trump is going to say, you make the choice. Are you going, new president Mexico, the lady that's the president, she's got a Jewish last name.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Are you going to corral the cartel and keep the illegals on that side of the river? In which case I will lower my tariff. Or are you going to continue to let the cartel dominate your government and keep shipping people over here? In which case I will raise my tariff and your people will starve. That's the import of the tariff. That's what's behind this. I could even see, Cody, with this president, the way he says,
oh, she does have a Jewish name.
Yeah, her name is Claudia Scheinbaum. I'm not even sure she's Latino. What this president has shown a propensity to do is say things like, you're going to take these people and send them back to Honduras. And if Honduras doesn't want them, then we're going to cut off our aid to Honduras. That kind of stuff. He's a pay-for-play kind of guy. We'll get to some more pay-for-play in a minute. So I can see Trump creating literally an illegal immigrant index that ends up, this is just a for instance. The other part is absolutely, I believe, the truth and the motivation. Taxes, tariffs to dissuade the cartel and to persuade the Mexican government to do their part on their side of the border as pertains to illegals. If you don't do that, then we're going to raise the tariffs and your tomatoes will rot and your avocados will rot and your lettuce will rot and your people will starve. Talk to the president for that.
Two birds, one stone.
Absolutely. Everybody wins. He says the mics are a little bit hot. I don't know what to do with that. That's just the way it is. The other side of that is Trump. I can see Trump very quickly having an index where he says, you've done a better job. Encounters are down. Tariff comes down. Encounters go up. Tariff goes up. Police your border.
Right.
And I like it. And you should like it too. It costs nothing. Don't let it kid you. First one in, Judge Posey, leader in the clubhouse. Good job, sir. Welcome, Rena Shear, Scott Tomko, Daniel Wade White, Sherry Jacobs. I know her, Sherry Merrick, Scott Tomko, Lisa Poole, Will Vincent, Scott Snow, Renee Metting. Wow, what a group. Look at there. Wendy Hughes Garcia, Lisa Poole, Wendy, they're talking. They're all talking. I don't know what to do with the hot mics. What do you think we've done?
I've already turned it down.
Okay, hope that helps. I'm a little hot this morning, so things could get out of hand. Greg Garcia, Ricky King, do y'all have to flip that switch on the computer to make it sound right because y'all are very distorted? Man, I apologize. Is that fixed? Is it fixed? There's Sheriff Lineback.
Because we're too hot.
Robert, I don't know. I don't know what to do. It sounds different to me in here. I don't know what to do with that. Did we adjust anything on here?
All I did was turn down my volume because I think Ash is partly deaf.
Maybe so. I don't know how to fix it. I can ease up on what I say if maybe that helps. As long as you're getting the message, suffer.
You were very passionate earlier.
Good morning, Mom. I don't know what to do.
Well,
it's just,
can y'all get some feedback? Is it any better now? We've turned it down some.
Not any better. So
I think this has to be up, doesn't it?
We'll push it up. See if that changes.
We'll see if that doesn't.
Maybe that's way too far. I don't think that's for the music, I think.
Nope, this is for the music.
I don't know what to do.
All right.
Because this is important information and I want you to have it. I am not happy.
Well,
are we on Blackstone? Did it go to Blackstone when you did it? Let's go back to
Carter, just back away a tad. So I can
maybe. I don't know. It just
turn
pisses me off. I can't explain to you folks how livid I get when technical stuff doesn't work.
Oh, better. Okay, we're getting better.
All right.
I think we've done it now. I think it's better. We're going with it.
This is way too important to be missing. So you're going to have Trump is going to have the index. I'm convinced Trump is going to manage the tariffs in accordance with how well Mexico does what he wants them to do. Second key point of the day, Lebanon ceasefire. The Israeli cabinet is set to discuss a Hezbollah deal. It is worth noting that Benjamin Netanyahu has said that he sees nothing in the way of a 60-day, an initial period of a proposed truce of a 60-day ceasefire. You'll notice that, keep going. Israeli Prime Minister says no serious obstacles to a ceasefire unless he changes his mind. John Kirby, the U.S. National Security Council spokesman, says, we believe we've reached this point where we're close. We're not there yet. It is worth noticing that there is a military leader. Keep going. I want to quote him correctly if I can find it. I don't know his name. There's a military, like national security advisor for Israel who says he thinks it would be an absolute mistake to stop now. He believes that Hamas is on its, his name is Itamar Ben Gvir. Israel should press on with the war until absolute victory. And addressing Netanyahu on Twitter said, it's not too late to stop this agreement. So you have a member of the government reaching out to the prime minister saying, it's not too late to stop this agreement. He thinks that they should stay on Hamas until Hamas is totally eradicated. And to me, it's worth noting that Netanyahu has basically said, pump the brakes, let's take a 60-day truce and see where we're at. I do think that Netanyahu is holding out hope that there may be some hostages left, and he'd love to get them home during that 60-day period. I'm certain if there are any hostages left, that would be part of compromise. Mm-hmm. But we don't know yet what's going to happen with that. Those are the two top stories. Trump, now a third story. So Trump's tariffs, Israeli ceasefire, and we'll get to that. We need to take a quick break and see if. And I want to know. I want feedback on the mics. I want to know if
much
we're doing
better, okay. A lot better. Sound is
good. Good. USA Concrete Coating, folks. I was at a house the other day, had patterned concrete on it. It needed some help. Charlie Garcia's team can come out. They can fill those settling cracks as concrete dries. It expands and contracts, and it creates cracks. Charlie Garcia's team can fill that and then sand it, seal it, stain it, paint it. They can change the way that concrete floor looks. If you have a floor that a lot of folks are doing just stained concrete floors, over time they crack and pit. Charlie can fix that for you. Call 578-HOME and let USA Concrete Coatings come out. They can give you options all the way up to completely coating and sealing that slab. Veracruz Restaurant, it's the Tuesday before Caldo Wednesday. You've got to get in. You've got to get into Veracruz this week. You know you can't just live on turkey alone. You've got to get in.
Make you sleepy?
Absolutely.
Do you think their caldo will have turkey in it?
I haven't. No, it will not. Get in there and see them. Folks, Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Let Allen be your go-to, Toto. Allen's does the best job anywhere in the region, has the broadest range of capabilities anywhere in the region, including a 75-ton crane. Paravita Wellness, I went in yesterday. Erica Briggs and her team do a great job on even little things like seafood. I picked up like a little seafood dish. I can throw it in the microwave. The shrimp are not mushy. There's no preservatives. You want to eat it fresh. After a couple of days, you freeze it. And then you can always take them out and pop them in the microwave. Easy deal. Great food. The office is at 205. That's where we are. Cody and I were talking this morning about expanding. I've got some cool stuff I want to display. And it's just old stuff. So like me, it's old. So I want to bring
like your knee joints will go on top so you can get to them. And then
absolutely.
a couple elbow. The hip.
Yeah. Big bottle of Viagra. I'd love to be sponsored by Viagra. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, you would.
Absolutely.
We're going to bring
it in. That's right. Just keep growing. The office is at 205. If you officed here, you'd be home now. You can come in here and see what we do. You can come up anytime. Anybody's welcome.
I think John Paul's going to ask us to not advertise for him anymore after that.
You think so? We're open here at 205 and a half.
It's kind of fun. It looks like you're going into like this secret door.
It's like a little speakeasy.
Yeah.
It's more of apparently it's a speak too loud. Good morning, Brent Anderson. Appreciate the feedback from you folks. And I apologize for the mishaps. Now, a third big story, which may not be
as big,
is the Trump transition team is kind of rallying to get rid of one of Trump's top advisors over what they are referring to as pay for play allegations. This guy's name is Boris, and I'll spell it for you, Epshteyn, Epstein.
It's almost like Epstein, but it's
almost,
not.
but there's an SH in there. So his name is Boris Epshteyn. He's a top advisor to the president. And this came to light when a guy named Scott Bessent, Bessent, who was being nominated for Treasury Secretary, no doubt, he lobbied the president to be selected. Hey, pick me. And it's calling Boris. Boris basically told the president, you don't want that guy. He's not the right guy for you, boss. You don't need him. And the reason was Mr. Bessent refused to pay him tens of thousands of dollars to lobby on his behalf.
Huh.
So in this case, it's like, we're great friends, and you trust my advice and counsel, and I tell you, you don't really need to hire that guy. But Brent, he's qualified. He's got a great personality. He's personable. Nah, you don't need to hire that guy. And you find out later it's because I told that guy, if you don't give me 10% of your salary, I'm going to screw your deal with Cody.
Right.
Well, that's what happened. To the point, the former governor of Missouri, Eric, I'm going to call it Greitens, Greitens, he resigned in scandal, but he expressed an interest in joining Trump's administration. He signed a declaration on November 7th, recounting a November 7th conversation where he said, Boris's overall tone and behavior gave me the impression of an implicit expectation to engage in business dealings with him before he would advocate for or suggest my appointment to the president. This created a sense of unease and pressure on my part. So this former governor, who's no doubt, a veteran of politics, he said, even though Boris isn't accused of doing anything illegal, it's not illegal. Getting fees for access to senior government officials is what lobbyists do. It's unethical to the point of Boris not really being on the team. Boris is just trying to fatten Boris's wallet. So I'll be curious to see what happens in the days ahead if Donald Trump distances himself from Boris, who has been a trusted advisor for a while. So those are key things of the day. Another important part of the news. So we've had the tariffs, we've had the Hezbollah, now we've got the bad advisor. The other thing is this James Smith.
Sounds like a Mormon person.
It does. It'd be John Smith, right?
John Smith.
But if you go back, where's the one about, I don't see that yet. Yeah, right here. A federal judge has dismissed all the charges against Donald Trump in the D.C. election case after the prosecutor requested that they do so. Now, the reason that matters, and I know what the news means, I'm going to tell you that, just like the tariffs are really
they're not really about avocados.
They're not really about avocados. They're about securing the border. I don't know what it's got to do with Canada, except that Trump may be trying to affect their upcoming elections. But if you, right here, it says, after careful consideration, the department has determined, blah, 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 that you can't sue a sitting president. Because that prohibition is categorical and does not turn on the gravity of the crimes charged, the strength of the government's proof, or the merits of the prosecution, which the government stands fully behind. Mr. Smith is saying, we're going to drop these charges, but it's not because he's not guilty. That's fine. Trump is 78 years old. He doesn't care. He just wants them to go away. Now, the reality is there being all these charges, his guilt in the insurrection, his whether or not he was involved in inciting that riot that happened at the Capitol, the documents that he had at Mar-a-Lago, all of that being dropped. The idea is that if he can shove that back 4 years, they're all being dropped without prejudice, which means they could be resurrected at a later date. But the fact is the government really going to spend the time to go after an 82-year-old former president, two-term president, after you've eliminated all this political clout? To me, the answer is no. They will let this go. And were you fact checking me?
I was 78. You got it right the first time.
Of course I did.
You questioned yourself the second time.
I did. The special counsel noted the historic nature of Trump's prosecution and subsequent election to the presidency, admitting that the department and country have never faced the circumstance here where a federal indictment against a private citizen has been returned by a grand jury and a criminal prosecution is already underway when the defendant is elected president. And what it tells me about the country is, if not the majority of the country, I'm going to say that even some people that voted Democrat, they knew that these charges were, pardon the pun, trumped up and bogus.
Oh my gosh.
And didn't matter.
So terrible.
They didn't matter. They were all politically motivated. And to me, two things happened. They really solidified Trump's base with the idea of, if they can do this to me, they can do this to you. So a lot of people bought into that. A lot of people felt like I did. Man, leave the guy alone. You keep making up stuff to try to arrest him. They all fantasize about him being in prison. It's just silly talk. And I'll tell you what you're going to see happen next is you're going to see
the story behind the story.
Well, and I know the story behind the story. I'm going to tell you that one as well.
Okay.
What you're going to find out is that they're going to remove all of his felonies on appeal. Mm-hmm. Now that he can have his legal crew focus just on the felonies, they'll all be removed on appeal. So I already told you the motivation behind the avocado tariffs, or 25% on all goods imported from Mexico. Here's the backstory on what's going on with this. This is tomorrow's news today.
This is one of my favorite things that you do.
Yeah, and you know what? Have you ever noticed that I'm not bragging? It's just we're right.
Yep.
We're right so often, and it's whether it's about COVID or whether it's about the election or whether it's about the fact that Biden's not going to run, which we told you
is
before.
Is it hard being right all the time?
No, because I'm wrong so often that you just don't remember that. But people do remember that long before they heard it anywhere. we told people here, there ain't no way Joe Biden's going to run as president. It's not going to happen. He ain't going to run. And of course, he didn't. And boy, who would have thought they'd pick a dead horse like Kamala? But what, 15 people in a room picked Kamala?
Maybe.
15 people, maybe. Barack Obama was involved, Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. That's who picked Kamala Harris. That's who picked her. Not the American people, not the Democratic public.
And the people spoke about it too.
Absolutely. That's a big, and I still think at the end of the day, the American public said, this is wrong. I'm not going to vote for that. And that got Trump some votes. And I think there's people that saw all of this weaponization of the Department of Justice and said, he may not be a perfect guy. There's a lot of gray area at the top of the clouds, and this is wrong, and I'm not going to support that administration because if they can do it to him, they can dang sure do it to me.
Sure.
So here's the story ahead of time. Remember that I told you this. When Donald Trump is elected, you will never hear of Hunter Biden or Joe Biden associated with any criminal activity ever again. When the president had a chance to visit with Joe Biden, I guarantee you, Donald Trump said, hey, Joe, you find a way to get me out of all this legal garbage that these politicos have done to me, and I will spare you and Hunter. You have my word. I guarantee you it happened in some form, and I guarantee you that's going to be the result. 2 weeks after Trump meets with the president, it all just goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It all just goes away. And now Biden's got pictures of him and Donald shaking hands and smiling together. Doesn't exactly look like the way you would stand next to a man that you called a threat to democracy. The biggest threat on the planet was Donald Trump, and now they're just smiling.
Richard King saying, I think the younger generation thought it made Trump into a gangster, which they liked.
That's possible.
Maybe some earrings and a do-rag and some tattoos on his neck. And
by the way, we welcome your calls. I would love, if you've got thoughts on any of this, if I'm wrong, I'm not seeking to argue. Let's clarify. Please give us a call, 361-894-4020.
Scott Tomko did some of our work for us today, the hockey half minute.
Yeah, the hockey had that. Dallas Stars sucked last night, allowed 5 goals in the third for a 6-4 loss. There you go. Scott Tomko, big hockey fan. I just can't. And now it's a matter of principle. I won't necessarily get too excited about hockey because Ash is so excited. Kind of bounces out. I act like I don't care about his needs, you know.
Brian Small wants to know, do you think there's a pardon in place here?
There could be. I think that if, and maybe that was the deal. Maybe Trump looked him in the face and said, if you are prosecuted, I guarantee you a pardon. And by the way, that's how to play the game, right? He's being attacked by a weaponized Department of Justice. So he turns around and says, I'm the president. I'll just make it go away.
Right.
Yeah. I think that, but the end result being, I think Biden had a direct effect on all of Trump's charges being dismissed.
You think he did it all for Hunter?
I do think that Joe Biden loves his son. I do think that he's very, very family oriented. I do. I think he's almost uber grandfatherly.
Yeah. I just wonder if Joe actually cares about his stuff at this point.
I think
he's about a year away from a home.
I do too. It'll be a nice home.
Oh, sure. Little rose garden behind it. Ice cream stand.
They could build him like a mini White House out in the back.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. And he could still think he's president.
There you go. Non-Brent's mic is a little worm.
Non-Brent. There you go.
It's nice to be known as non-Brent.
Well, that's okay. So tomorrow, Wash Aid.
Wash Aid will be with us?
Yeah, he's going to come in. You know, you had what was it? Trent Barter. But Wash Aid is going to come in. That should be fun.
He did a good job.
Yeah, he's right there too. Like he says, Adam Sugar says, even scumbags love their scumbag kids. And he's just talking about his own family.
Doesn't he have like
parents still love
kids
him
or something?
Oh no, his kids are wonderful.
Doesn't he have like a bunch of them?
Well, yeah, if he looks at her wrong, he's got a lot of testosterone.
I think he said he had like 9 kids.
Yeah, a lot of testosterone. Lisa Poole says Adam Schiff, a reporter asking him if he was scared Trump was going to send him to prison. One could only hope. My deal with that is, again, the American people have the ability to vote fools like that out of office, and I hope they take it.
The Biden Presidential Library, Brian Small.
It'll just be coloring books and
an ice cream stand.
And yeah, there'll be a little ice cream stand, and then of course all the pages have to be laminated. But then you can color. Laminated. So they're saying your mic's hot. That's so weird. We haven't done anything, and it just irritates me to death. When you don't change anything on the board, and all of a sudden one day things are just messed up, that means we probably sound terrible on the radio, and I hate it.
You only had a decent producer. That's the problem.
No, it's not your fault. Brian Small says at the Biden Presidential Library, the thermostat's set to 83. There's coloring books, oatmeal. There you have it. Well, let's take a quick break, and I'm going to tell you, I've given you everything. That is the news. I'm going to really hope for a couple of phone calls. So Went Services went for all your electrical needs, whether you need a new plug or you're building a new building, school, house. Went can be your electrical contractor. They also specialize in generators, whole house generators. Give them a call. Turnkey installation. RK Development Group. When you get Daniel to build you a new barn dominium or barn and you want a generator out beside it, they can do it. Okay, good. Daniel Wade White says the mics are only hot on Facebook. Magic is fine. If you have an audio out specific for Facebook, turn it down a notch. I don't think we do. I don't know where that would be. I don't think that's it. I think all that controls is what comes off that board.
Yeah, I don't think it all goes to the same place.
Anyway, we really do. We try to cater to our listeners on Magic 95.9. There's 10,000 of them. So we like to really make sure that the radio is happy, and we love them being here.
I think I moved my mic closer at one point. So
Did
just
you?
backing it away a little bit.
Maybe I can get you one of those things like that.
That'd be nice.
Like the smokers use.
I don't recommend smoking.
That would be great. We could do that.
I did make it cooler today in here. I wonder if that's affected anything.
I doubt it. Very quickly, the VCS companies for all your communication needs, they're just the best. I go there every Christmas and buy the Quick Cube chargers, the wires that you need in the car, all those things. Those are great stocking stuffers. They've got them all the way up to somebody needs a new iPhone 16. It's just amazing piece of equipment.
What are you doing with your cords and chargers that you need new?
They get worn out, stepped on, bent. But if you buy the AT&T product, they do a great job. Brand us. We'll talk about Commander Cody's business in a minute. Atzenhofer.com since 1926.
Man, they've got some good looking cars out there.
They really do. They've got a bunch of them.
It's like they've kind of lifted the Suburbans up a little bit now.
Oh yeah, they're trying to give them a little bit to Brian Small. Guess I know where we stand. He only cares about the radio listeners. That's not true, Brian. It's not even what I tried to imply. You got to brown nose the radio audience. They can't see us. They don't get the full effect. White Trash Services, White Trash Site Services, helping you clear land, grade land, everything you need. 10,000 listeners, I'll take the under. I can confirm it. I've confirmed it with Magic. White Trash Services, if you live in the county, trash service, weekly, monthly pickup, dumpsters, roll-offs, you have a job you want to get done, call 550-1826 and let BJ Nelson and Scott Nelson help you. Chesnick Furniture, right there, Chesnick Furniture.
This is Chesnick Furniture?
Yes, sir.
I did not know that.
Get by. 116 West Juan Lynn, the corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge. Chesnick and Love make your house a home. See why you just always do better at Chesnick.
You know, Brian Small does bring up a good point about how we could fund the show.
Like making a pay-for-play?
We'll just start a little side business over here
where we take over and unders on stuff, and
we could, I know a guy. I know we could
take
lay it off.
a commission on it, a taxation.
A commission.
Yes.
Can we call it like the juice? We could take the juice.
Call it whatever you want to call it.
I like it. I am convinced, and I'll give you an opinion here in a second that involves our governor. Folks, Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Get by Palace Bingo anytime. Over the holidays is good. I always think about, and I'll be sincere, I always think about folks that are alone at the holidays, lonely at the holidays. The holidays can be very lonely for people.
Okay.
I've been very blessed. I know that depression is very real for folks. I've honestly just always been too busy to be depressed. I've got too much to do, too many responsibilities to allow myself to get mired down within my head. But I know it happens to folks, and it doesn't make them weak at all. It's not a mental problem. It's just a state of being. There's always a number you can call. You can always call 988. And there was people there to talk to you if you're really down. But try not to get that down. I hope that we bring you
A small bit of joy.
a small bit of joy. Yeah, joy to me is from within. To me, joy comes from a relationship with Christ, but you can be happy. You can cut up and have a good time with us, and hopefully it inspires you to attack the day.
And they can always come in and
They can always
join us.
come in and be a guest host.
That's
If you're
right.
feeling that down, we ought to give you perspective. The fact that two idiots can get up here every day and have a good time with you ought to give you perspective that there's hope for all of us. We can all do great things.
We have an extra drink cup.
We
We have
have
a
an-
picture with George. I mean,
We'll have a drink with you.
we should probably clean that one out eventually.
Yeah, that's Tiki's, Tiki Vingler. We're going to have more to report on what's going on down in Bloomington. You'll recall that we had Danny Garcia and Miss Tiki Vingler on here to talk about it. Brian Small says hot mics depress him.
He also said
and yet he won't call 894-4020.
he doesn't want it to be hot.
He doesn't, I know.
Did you hear about Applebee's coming to the Taco Bueno building for a to-go only restaurant here in town?
Yeah, guess what? That's the next place that just won't make it.
That's what I thought too.
You're going to drive through and get an Applebee's $9 burger? No. Applebee's, be smart. I don't, in the neighborhood. What a joke of a restaurant. Don't come here.
I don't see Applebee's being fast enough to be like a.
If it is, it won't be good. It won't be
might
good.
not be good anyway.
Applebee's, get out of town. Nobody needs a Bennigan's in Victoria. People are just crazy.
Well, apparently we had an Applebee's, and
We did, and what happened to it? It went out of business. People get used to not going places in Victoria very quickly. The only problem with that particular strip center over there, where at some point it'll be a check cashing place and a mattress
Right.
store and some other money laundering venture for the cartel. Those places are all hard to get to.
yeah, you can only get in one.
You've got to go up to the light at Navarro and Glasgow.
Yeah, Glasgow.
Most of the time, you have to make, you always have to make a U-turn to come back to those places.
Right.
And it's just, you're going to sit at that light, 3 or 4 lights. It is not fast food. It's just not fast food.
BJ Nelson has a very important question.
I think they'll have drinks to go. I don't know. I did learn something kind of sneaky that I thought was really cool. And I'll tell you how to beat
Dollar
the system.
General Superstore.
If you go to, they'll just combine them all and make it a Dollar General.
It'd just be called
Yeah.
Dollar.
Or you'll have like some spare insurance company, drive-through auto insurance.
$12 a month.
It's like, but they don't pay their claims. I know, but you've got an ID card.
right.
When you go to like Eskimo Hut, so they give you your frozen drink and you can say, put 3 extra shots in there. I mean, you can make it to where you can
They
go
have
home.
12-year-olds
go
behind
to
the
sleep.
counter. They don't know anything.
Yeah, you can go home and go straight to bed. But they give you one of those straws that if you when
Like
you
a
use
Slurpee
it,
straw?
yeah, but when you use it, it changes colors.
I didn't know that.
So when it's one of those cold sensitive, you've all seen those cups. They're like light blue, and you pour the tea in it, and it turns green.
Sure.
Well, the straw does the same thing. And what will happen is if an officer were to pull you over, certainly the officer knows of this little technique. And he's going to say, is that an open container? And you've got a blue tongue with your daiquiri. No, sir. No, sir. No, it's not.
So the key's a different straw.
Just take a different straw. There you have
Keeps
it.
them in your glove box.
See, there you go. Skirt it. Skirt that law.
Throw that straw in the back for the kids.
Yeah. So see, what all have we talked about today that needs to be rehashed? We know that, okay, wait, we'll help BJ Nelson. You know, when Jason's Deli opened, it was only pick up at the window, not order. McAllister's is only pick up, not order, and pick up. Wonder if it'll be pick up like you have to call it in. God forbid, only order on the app. I don't know. Brian Small says this is all just completely made up. BJ Nelson sure knows a lot about semi-fast food restaurants.
And drinks to go.
And
is what I
drinks
was
to
thinking
go.
about.
That'll be but wait, here's the good news. The bad news, BJ, is based on this radio program, the Advocate will run a story. Local school board member and Christian-based mom drinks and drives and eats fast food. The good news for you is that article won't come out till next May because our newspaper just can't get around to telling you what's happening now. I think they're getting ready to report on the election results
That would be great.
soon in a Sunday edition so everybody will see it. It cost more money to put Victoria Advocate on the side of the One O'Connor Plaza than that newspaper nets.
But they have a helicopter pad on top of it.
Oh, solid point. BG Nelson's been remodeling her house for 6 months. It was a 2-month project that's now taken 6 months. And she says she has no kitchen. This is funny. I have a friend, I won't name her. Let's just call her June. June told me that we went by and were visiting with June, and she told us that she was getting ready to have her cabinets, new cabinet doors, and reface the cabinets, and that she was going to take this island and move it, and then put granite here, and yada yada yada, and that her husband came in and she said, I think I'm going to do this, this, and this, and he goes, well, I mean, as long as it all works, within our budget. And she looked at me and she goes, he's so cute. He thinks we have a budget. And that's the way these projects go.
Now, June's not BJ, right? You're not.
No, June is not BJ.
Okay.
No, BJ is BJ, and she can stand on her own.
That's what I was thinking too.
She fears no man. Ricky King says, Brent, after sitting in school board meetings all day, I would know where all the drinks to go are too. No kidding. It's like I'm going to stop on the way. And by the way, if an officer were to pull you over and you're about half in the bag, is there a reason you're loaded, ma'am? I've been at a school board meeting. Okay, ma'am, I'll give you an escort home. Yeah. Let's see. Robert Brown says they would have to be stopped, which seems to have gone out the window in law enforcement around this country unless it's illegals or drug interdiction. Solid point. You just gotta not weave, right?
And you have to use your blinker. I got pulled over 3 months ago because I didn't use my blinker in
I
a
want the police
one-way
to pull me over
in
for
a
that.
one-way lane.
Yeah, I would have, that'd be a ticket I'd be willing to take just to mess with law enforcement over that. I do find it interesting, Robert, that, certainly in my lifetime, and it seems like, how is that ever a thing? There's a lot of things like that. How could you ever smoke on an airplane?
Right.
Which is a pressure controlled, oxygen filled vessel. How could you ever just legally drink and drive? You could just drink and drive. It was just fine. Get a sixer. You could get a 6-pack, drive to Dallas. You could have a beer every hour. That'd be fine. And you'd never legally be drunk, and it would just be fine. Cop could pull you over. Cody, there a reason you were going 80 miles an hour? No, sir. 6 empty beer cans in the car. Where'd you start out today, sir? Down in Victoria. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. No problem. Perfectly legal. Now, you can get in trouble for having an open container in the car that's not even yours, which probably is a little extreme, but it seems, I don't see why my passenger can't enjoy a drink while I'm driving, but it's probably better to err on the side of conservative. BJ Nelson showing her age. If only we could get Luby's back. There's only a handful of Luby's left, and I'll tell you why. If you go to Luby's and you walk through and you get the filet of fish and you get the green beans and the macaroni and cheese and one of the rolls,
$95.
It's $95. That's exactly right. It's $95. It's like I told you the last time I was, I think, ignorant enough to go to Black's Barbecue in Lockhart as opposed to driving, another 10 minutes south and going to City Market in Luling. I decided to go to Black's. All sides, $2.95. Grab a jalapeno, $2.95.
For a jalapeno?
Oh, everything. Every side dish was $2.95. So
That's crazy.
Brian Small says Luby's is awesome. He too, showing his age, nearing 60.
That's the two people that like it in our city.
Yeah. BJ says you never know whether to tip the tea person. I agree. And Luby's used to do such a fine job. They had those little double bubble glasses. They kind of bloop, bloop. But they were only like 12 ounces, and I drink a lot of tea. And the lady would come by, and that's awesome. Brian Small says he liked the chocolate cake in saran wrap.
This is a quality show today, let me tell you.
But I'm not joking about this. When I was a little guy, and this is kind of back to what we were talking about with Trump, my dad was like, you want to go to Luby's 2 Sundays a month and not have the cake, which is not as good as your grandmother's? Or do you want to go once a month and have the cake?
What'd you do?
I usually opted to go twice a month. I loved going to Luby's. When it was in the old mall,
Is that what the church is now?
where the church is now, that was Penny's. And then where Ash is now was like Walgreens. And then, believe it or not, Scott Tomko, I agree 100%. He says liver and onions at Luby's. The only place there's 2 places I've eaten livers, and I only eat chicken livers. Beef livers too pungent's probably not the word,
So
but
that's
strong
why you
to
have
me.
chickens. You just
No.
open them up.
Just take their little livers. But Luby's used to get these big old chicken livers, and they breaded them, and then they broiled them. And they would do liver and onions. And because liver is cheap, you could get a plate, and they would just give you, like 30 livers. I'm not exaggerating. And cover them in those smothered onions. Man. And I get that Louisiana hot sauce and just eat those livers like butter. I loved them. But I've never made them at home. I think they're disgusting.
Yes, they are. We have 4 people for Luby's.
Robert Brown says Luby's was great. Memories with mom and grandmother, and her bowling friends. And Renee Medding chimes in, Luby's is the only place I'll eat liver and onions.
That's 5 people. We're starting a movement here.
Yeah. What if we just started a little restaurant? When Applebee's fails,
They'll already be set up.
BJ Nelson, you're correct. The Pappas family, Harris Pappas, and the people that have Pappasitos, Papado, they bought a large enough stake in Luby's to control it, and then decided that even with their economies of scale, even with their expert food, you make your money at Luby's by controlling waste. You can't, at the end of the evening, throw out 50 pounds of green beans. That's the key, is you've got to wind it down at the right time. That's all profit going down the disposal. And even though the Pappas family completely understood that, they couldn't compete anymore. It's not fine dining. It's not, people, the cafeteria just doesn't quite get it.
Michelle Hawkins, Cliff had them put a diaper changing table in the men's bathroom at Luby's. Now, I don't know if that's for the baby or for like 30 minutes after the livers, but
Yeah.
could go either way.
Scott Tomko coming in. We make calf liver and onions with brown gravy and mashed potatoes 3 to 4 times a year. Liver is slightly breaded and fried. Hey, if you're listening on Magic, give us a call. 361-894-4020. Tell us about your liver and onions experience at Luby's. We'd love to hear from you. BJ Nelson says, I'm such a restaurateur. That'd be a great venture for me and Dawn. Can you imagine after this Applebee's comes in and fails? Because it will. Does anybody out there think Applebee's is going to be a hit at an old Taco Bueno location? Hey, y'all want to go to Applebee's? We can drive through. Well, where is it? It's down there where that new Taco Bueno used to be. Oh, no, because everybody's trying to get to the brown bag, and it's hard to make a U-turn. Hey, let's just go to the brown bag and eat a pizza and order some cowboy burgers. Sit down, have a beer. Applebee's will be closed in a year, people. What? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm being a naysayer and not bringing new business to Victoria. I'd rather open a place there called Brent's Liver and Onions.
It'd probably do better.
I bet we could have broiled livers and onions. The other place that I will eat them used to be at the Texas Drive-In, and I'll eat them at Moo Moo. There's a Moo Moo where the Texas Drive-In used to be at Airline and Ben Wilson.
The orange building, the orange sign.
It's a nice place. And their liver and onions is great.
They have more than one location, too. I didn't know
They have
that.
the one down by the Moody Street Bridge.
But they have one in Port Lavaca, I think, now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's another. It's outside of Victoria. There's another one. I think it's.
What I like about going to Moo Moo is if you go in and sit down, the warmth and the humidity of the grease and the deep fat fryer, it's just de-ages you. You leave, your skin is so shiny and fresh. Oh, really, Scott? Scott's stirring that up. You know, I got a little excited about riding on a tanker ship last week.
Port Lavaca.
And
Thank you, Jennifer Rayburn.
yeah, Scott Tompkins says, I want to hear the ship story one more time. No, I'm not going to tell you.
You have to tune in tomorrow.
When was the last time any of you, I really hate to throw this out with B Small actually having a keyboard in front of him. When was the last time any of you did anything that was completely out of your professional realm? It wasn't what you do for a living, that all of a sudden was exciting and fun. To me, going on that ship was kind of like a field trip. It wasn't a bucket list thing. I'd never said, I want to go be at the con of a huge ship. That wasn't my goal ever in life. But it was very, very exciting to do and to watch a true professional. And more important than that, to understand the importance of the port of Calhoun. Mm-hmm. It is hard to fathom how important our port is down there, and the broadening, widening, and the deepening of that port is paramount to the economic development of this region. Well, that is something I can get behind.
I thought it was really interesting that he was talking about they were trying to like Tokyo drift the ships there in the.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I understand they got to get turned around, but you just never think about how big those things
they
are.
just once they start, they keep going.
Yeah, how much turning time they're going to need. And
BJ Nelson says surely they did some market research. Victoria VDEC needs to let us know. Ramsey's is for sale. I did not know that. Dick's Food Store is for sale. $850,000.
I didn't know Dick's Food Store.
Brian Small, classic. All-timer. Man, that's from 30 years ago. Yeah. That is
Do you
phenomenal.
think he just keeps quotes of you? Like in a
Yeah, he
notebook in the
knows.
house?
He knows that I know that he knows. Scott Togo says he'll just replay the show if I won't tell the story again. Fine. Renee Medding adds, Texas drive-ins gizzards were the best. You could get regular, extra crunchy, or extra, extra crunchy. And you know what's great about that? It takes all the pressure off the fry cook. It's like, oh, I didn't hear the alarm. Well, those are just extra crunchy.
Yeah.
Put them right in there.
Check.
Yeah, check that box.
Now, do you think the gizzards are better regular or extra, extra crunchy?
I don't know. I don't do gizzards because when I watch people eat them, they're just like,
right.
It's like trying to eat unshelled pistachio nuts. I just can't do it. By the way, I say pistachio. Pistachio just came out. I guess all that talk about that big boat just had me thinking about my yacht.
You sounded very formal there
I
for
did.
a moment.
Robert Brown going up in Kenneth Kemp's helicopter on a manhunt on the loop when I was a young law enforcement officer. Yeah, exactly.
I wondered what Leo met.
LEO, law enforcement officer.
Yeah, no, I know.
Renee Medding, right? Exactly. I don't like gizzards. Now, of the two of us, since in theory, liver has some, if not medicinal, but some quality. It's good for you once in a while. It's a high source of iron. You would think that Dawn might eat a liver once in a while. No way. She used to eat gizzards. I can't do it, man. I've tried it. I thought, because it's great because they're cheap. But.
So is this the real reason y'all got chickens?
No, I love my chickens. They're all sweet. Really, seriously. BJ Nelson said she did not, Michelle Wilson August says, I did not know that Ramsey's was for sale. I thought they were remodeling. Greatest quote I've ever heard. Had a friend tell me one time, the great thing about Ramsey's, when you go in there, they just hand you a menu and a fly swatter. Ramsey's has never changed. I remember going to Ramsey's when I was a kid. I mean.
Well, that's not completely true because they don't have a smoking section anymore.
True.
Now, the food hasn't changed.
No, but is that amazing that it used to just be you could just fire up a ciggy right in the middle of a restaurant?
I think it's funny that they thought that just separating the room was going to be smoking to non-smoking. In today's world, it's like the same room.
True story.
Yeah. I like that the tiles are still yellowed and stuff in there.
Michelle Wilson Hawkins chimes in for no apparent reason, just one word, dicks. I don't know. I mean, what? Am I supposed to put something else below that?
Not on the radio.
I know. No, yes, absolutely. Dick's is for sale. Yeah, the family owned store. They've already gotten to the point. We went by the other day. Dawn and I went by, and I highly recommend. Dick's has a fantastic chicken salad they make, and Dawn and I went by and bought a pint container of chicken salad, and some of the shit. It's sad to me. I grew up there. And
you grew up in Dick's?
Well, if I felt like it. We lived right down the street. If you go right down Crestwood and on to Mistletoe and over there, Milam, Travis, Bowie, all those streets, that's where I grew up. And we shopped at Dick's. Of course, there was an H-E-B back then over just south of Airline on Laurent. The best way to describe it is, where James Wayne's office is, that gold building that used to be a bank, right there was an H-E-B.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we went to H-E-B. But back then, people were much more likely to buy local. And Dick's was family. We all went there. It is being remodeled, but they're going to change. They're going to keep the meat market. And they're going now. The Safeway was at Sam Houston and Navarro, where Specs Liquor is now. Is it Specs? Yeah, that was Safeway. And across where the Ace Hardware was, you know where Ace Hardware was?
Yeah, no, where it is now.
That was an H-E-B, and then H-E-B built the H-E-B Plus out north.
Oh, okay.
I think we're probably. Their H-E-B announced just a week ago that they're putting $2.3 million into the H-E-B that's on the Houston Highway. I think we're just a short time away from a third H-E-B in Victoria.
I tried to go in there yesterday. There wasn't a spot in the entire parking lot.
No, I believe it.
Yeah, and this wasn't even after school hours, although the kids are out. But
well, I tell you this. On one hand, I don't apologize. We told you about the tariffs. We told you about Israel. We told you about the pay for play with Trump's advisors. We told you about, we told you about all of Trump's charges being dropped. These are 4 huge news stories, and the implications are far and wide. The implications of the tariffs are going to be that Trump is going to manipulate Mexico to control their border. The issues of Trump, his charges being dropped, is it's going to pave the way for, I do remember Montag's Grocery. I remember Catan's Grocery. It's going to pave the way for, I remember Kroger. It's going to pave the way for Biden and Hunter to walk, and that's fine. It was all politics to begin with. None of it was real. None of the stuff that Trump was accused of would the common man be accused of without a weaponized Department of Justice. So we did give you all of that key data today. It will be the news of the day. You can go put on your radio right now, and you'll find out that that's what Glenn Beck is talking about. And for that, I am proud. Tomorrow, I'd like to spend some time. I find it very fun. It's fun to me that those of us that grew up in town, I remember Gibson's, Robert, yes. That's where the Chinese place is now. Like that narrows it down in Victoria.
Same Cisco truck shows up still.
Right, same truck. Yeah, Albertsons was right there
That's where the
at Laurent and Red River. FedMart on Mockingbird with Monterey House out in front. No doubt. Tomorrow, I'd love to have folks chime in about things they're thankful for. And Brian says it was a bonus. You got Applebee's and news and talk about dicks. So there you have it. Nothing like a little dick talk on a Tuesday morning. Folks, I hope you guys have a great day. And we appreciate you listening to us. And we will talk to you. And